Yes. Yay, yay, this hangout is okay. So we are so sorry that we're late. We had some technical difficulties, as always, on Google Hangouts. So I think if anybody can give me some suggestions or references to other platforms to use, then we can use that. So, special guest, my absolute hero. I don't think that I've met somebody like you on this planet before, and I am, as usual, in awe. Toni Brockhoven. Well, Toni V. Brockhoven. Toni V for vegan.
That's it.
Yes. V for peace, peace for all.
Yes, because I end up being called Van Brockhoven and Van Brockhoven and all kinds of things.
Yeah,
and it's just because Facebook used to allow symbols in the name.
Yes.
So you could have a V with a circle around it.
Yes.
So that people knew who were vegans, so we could all connect.
Yes.
And of course, that never happened. So, well, no, it did happen, but then they decided to change, and you weren't allowed to change your name, and it had to be whatever nonsense.
Yes. Well, so, I think Facebook, I don't know, Facebook, their days are numbered, I kind of feel.
It looks like, yeah.
So my guest today is an animal activist, advocate for animal rights, animal liberation, animal welfare. I mean, what compassion, kindness. The voice is so strong, so strong. And I was looking for an image on Facebook that I saw, but I can't find it anymore because that's the one that I wanted to use for the article. So Toni, I think, I mean, I obviously have lots of questions, and today it's all about you. I mean, this entire interview is just about you, your being, but I also want to ask for some advice from you.
Okay.
So let's, what's my first question? The first question, I think, is where did the journey start? Like, when did when did that transformation, evolution start with you, where you said, okay, right, I have to do something, I have to show up, I'm going to be the voice for animals?
Good question.
Thank you.
I think I was lucky that I was brought up in an environment where my parents, we always had books on animals at home. We went to go and see movies like Jamie Ace's Beautiful People, which used to have me in tears, in between laughing at the antics of the animals and so on. But I think probably in 2006, I was going through menus to look for somewhere for dinner, somewhere interesting, and I discovered foie gras was on the menu. And I was absolutely mortified because I didn't realize that foie gras was available in this country. It was just something that was, and so I started writing and phoning restaurants to take it off their menu.
Yes,
especially when there were new restaurants with amazing menus and really trendy chefs with interesting new outlooks, and they were all about organic and free range, the usual nonsense. But foie gras is the antithesis of free range, organic, healthy. It symbolizes the excess of human greed, regardless of the cost, because there is so much else to eat. And whether one eats animals or not, foie gras is still disgusting, because it literally is the diseased animal of a bird who has been force-fed. And if any of you have ever had any inflammation, whether it's been toothache or an internal organ, you know how uncomfortable it can be. Magnify that by 10 times. Realize that if you have the benefit of realizing that your liver actually can't process the amount of toxins and buildup.
The poison,
yeah, absolutely. And I was lucky because I then started reaching out to different people. So we got the city of Cape Town to pledge that they would never serve it at any of their events. I got a letter from Desmond Tutu and from Lejane Kurt, both of whom are Nobel laureates. Lejane Kurt is one of our authors, and a number of other people who are well known, who were prepared to lend their voice to this and to pledge not to. And it took off from there. And we've actually had some very good successes in terms of venues that have decided to remove it, or they've pledged that they will not ever serve it. But the more important things are the places that have decided to remove it from their menu going forward and to keep it off. And it's always about the fact that they've made this decision. It's not about external influence. It obviously has been, but the focus has been on they have made a decision to make kinder choices.
Yeah.
And then we had a bill that was going to come in to legalize dog fighting. And not dog fighting. I apologize. Dog racing in South Africa. My heart
just went like,
no, to legalize dog racing.
Yes.
Because the people who are into this sort of thing feel that dog racing is happening illegally anyway, but if it's legal, then it can be monitored. And so I started taking time off work. I was in optometry before, and I was very lucky because I had employers who were very understanding of my need to do certain things. They were also incredibly patient, because I don't know of many people who would allow their employees to walk into their office and say, I need to take off from 12 to 2 tomorrow, but I'm working in lunch for the rest of the week. Thank you. I mean, there wasn't a please,
thank you, I'm going.
Or it's kind of, this is what's happening. This is how I'm making it up.
Yes.
And I would take half days off. If I couldn't, then I would take a full day off, or I'd use my leave time, or whatever the case may be. And that was sort of where it started in a major way. And then I was lucky enough to start working for Beauty Without Cruelty on a full-time basis.
Yeah. Which is like a dream come true for you, I think.
Yes.
It's a dream come true. I mean, you have the support. Obviously, it hasn't been easy, I think, to get the support, to get the funding. And I mean, it is, still...
Well, fortunately, I mean, Beauty Without Cruelty has been going since 1975. We're the oldest animal rights organization in the country. And we rely on the kindness of strangers. We cannot do what we do without funding, because, as you know, everything requires funding. Whether it's a telephone call, or driving to a venue, or organizing pamphlets and leaflets and outreach exercises which require pamphlets and information and booklets and so on. And so, I mean, this takes funding.
Yes.
Somebody's paying for the electricity here and all the rest.
Yes.
Yes. So it's not... we have been lucky, but unfortunately, I think what has happened with the advent of social media is everybody thinks, well, I can get all the information I need for free out there, so why must I pay for it? That's not what they're paying for. What they're paying for is for people who are, whether it's us or anybody else, they're paying for people who are working on their behalf to make things easier for animals in life in general, but specifically for animals in South Africa.
Well, I have a thing, because I see amazing people doing amazing things, aka you, okay, and so many other people. And then I listen to the public, and they have, but why are they getting these salaries? And I'm speaking about animal organizations now, and people that work for these animal organizations. Why are these animal organizations, paying these people so much? Why is it all about the money? Why not?
Well, let me just go back to the thing. So much when it comes to Beauty Without Cruelty is a misnomer. Make no mistake. Okay. But it's quite simple. Principals don't pay the rent.
Exactly.
If in an ideal world, there are no trust funds, I don't have a stop having an office out there that people could visit, and we all just chose to work from home because it saves that funding that was coming in, that was paying rental, is being used for outreach and education, which is so vital.
Yes. And I think, whether we do the work, and especially people that are doing the work, especially people that are fighting. I mean, this is why I said in the article, when I said, that activism should be, it should be taught as a career. It should be seen as a...
Well, it's a vocation.
Yes.
Like nursing. Well, maybe not so much in this country anymore, but nursing was always a vocation. So was being a policeman. So was being a firefighter. It was a calling, a need to do something.
Yes. To do good.
And volunteers are essential. But volunteers generally have a 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and then they get to do what their passion after hours.
Yeah.
For people, whether it's Beauty Without Cruelty or any of the animal welfare organizations out of there, it literally is a 24/7 job.
Yes.
Because suddenly it's normal to receive emails and phone calls at 10 o'clock at night or in the wee hours of the morning.
But that's all part of work,
Yes, no, of course.
Yeah,
but they would never dream of doing this to a company.
Exactly.
But they expect people to be on call all the time. And I'm not bemoaning it. What I'm saying is that you cannot reasonably expect that people are working on others' behalf. So I mean, Beauty Without Cruelty is fighting for human rights at a grassroots level.
Yes. Also,
because human rights starts with people who abuse and neglect or are cruel to those most vulnerable. So whether they are children or they are animals or the elderly, in our case, we focus on the animals because we also know, for example, that domestic violence normally starts with people abusing the domestic animal who lives within the family.
Yes.
And our logic and reasoning,
it's always like that.
Correct. Now our logic and reasoning is if we can awaken the compassion that is naturally inherent in everybody, and while it sometimes seems to be a very difficult thing to believe, we are all born with an innate love of nature and an innate love of animals. Most 99% of children, and in fact you could Google right now while you're listening to us and yapping away, photos of children and animals, and the children are always hugging and kissing, and
always.
It might not be appropriate, and sometimes children don't respect boundaries because they haven't been taught, but there's no
innate desire to kill,
right, or hurt,
or
cause harm in any way, shape, or form.
Unless that child, and I've seen this, unless that child is being hurt by an adult, and then that will reflect in their behavior and how they relate to other children and these animals. So that's also something that I think really must be taken into account, especially when you observe a child with a nature like that, is to say, oh,
there's a problem here.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So our thing is that if we can awaken the compassion in people in everyday life, by making kinder choices, whether it be for household cleaners or personal care, grooming, both male and female, starting to make considerate choices when it comes to decor and furnishings and clothing and meal choices, they will ultimately then also become more compassionate with each other.
Yes.
That's actually what we're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
Because we will end up with a society which benefits everybody simply by starting with being kind to the most vulnerable in our society, which whether the people who are human focused like it or not are the animals. And the reason I say that is because while most absolutely there are children and elderly and run-of-the-mill folks, I'm talking about in age, being abused and neglected and all the rest of it, animals, when it comes to the law, is still right at the bottom of the heap. So you can do what you like to animals and get away with a slap on the wrist. We're starting now to see
massive change.
We started coming in more so overseas, but now we've just had rhino poachers who've been given a 20-year sentence, which is fantastic. Sadly, I feel for the poachers because they are trying to feed families, and it's easy to be in a position where you have a roof and all the rest of it, to sit and point fingers. But they're not the people that we're after. The people who need to be punished, the people who need to be caught, reprimanded, shown the errors of their ways are the people employing the poachers.
Yes.
You know,
and also the consumers of it.
And absolutely.
The consumers, and I've said this in previous interviews as well. I've said that the end consumer who buys the rhino horn, if we are going to speak about the rhino horn now, they need to be jailed. They need to be jailed,
Yes.
and and criminalized, and because there's been theft. And more so theft, there's been robbery, because the robbery is the violent aspect of theft, is where you've actually taken a life.
Yeah.
And then, you're part of the syndicate, which is part of the collective syndicate, who have killed people and these animals. So, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But and again, this is one of the sad things, is that it comes down to people waving their fists in the air and saying, my culture, my right, and all the rest of it. But cultures are meant to evolve.
Yes.
Probably the most impressive thing for me has been a 9,000-year-old temple in India. No, I'm sorry, let me retract that. Hinduism is about 9,000 years old. The temple in India is an extremely old one and very large, and whose name I cannot possibly pronounce. I can't get it starts with a G. And they have made a decision that all their sacrifices at certain times of the year will be pineapple and sugarcane based, because it's about the intention.
Yes.
The intention is the offering and the thought process that goes behind it and all the rest of it, not the spilling of blood.
Yes.
If a 9,000-year-old religion or group of people can make this decision that this is actually the right thing to do and the right way to move forward,
I mean, so can the rest of us. We can
there
all
are
change our
ways.
ways. Yes,
absolutely, yes.
So, so just to conclude this, is I do think that people that are the protectors and the guardians, people that, dedicate their lives and do what you do, I think you must be paid a salary. You must be paid even more than what people in government are being paid, that have been put into these positions of power, but they're not doing their job, and they are literally destroying the habitat, killing the wildlife, not acting as stewards and guardianships, and it's all for profit and all for money, and nobody's seeing that except the ones who are
Yes.
the corrupt. Shall we use
the
corrupt? Yes.
Yeah, the corrupt.
I have some words here. I have in my little see big dreams. Some questions that I scribbled down that I wanted to ask you. So, as a child, did you always have a love for animals?
Yes, but then as I say, all children do.
Yeah.
We grew up with dogs.
Yeah.
And so my first cat who came into my life was a rescue.
Yeah.
Somebody was about to throw the kitten into the river or something to that effect, and it took, I think, 4 baths before the dirt and the fleas and everything. I mean, only so big.
Yeah.
And cats are very different people. They really are.
Yeah, very different people. I'm so happy you said that, because it is about the personalities. It is about the being. And my question was,
yes.
Tell me about the first time you became aware of animals as sentient beings. Because we know animals, we grow up with them. Your mom teaches you, don't hurt the cat, don't hurt the dog, don't hurt the chicken, don't hurt the tortoise. I mean, we had so many animals. But then there comes a moment where you realize it's so much more than just the word animal. This is a sentient being. Can you remember?
That's a seriously good question.
Yes. I thought so too.
No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. Because I grew up eating animals.
Yeah.
As do most people.
Yes.
Because I was aware. Yes, but I was aware of the fact that animals feel joy and
yeah.
And they certainly exude emotion. I tend to be.
That is a good question. Hey.
No, that is a very good
question.
Because
I can tell you, when I was 6 years old, 6 years old, we went to the farm, and I'd walked past the farm ovens. There were 2 big ovens, and I saw a cow's head and a sheep's head. And I remember they're standing in front of these huge ovens on the farm, looking at this, and something inside of me just felt so off. It was almost as if that was the first activation that came in. And I remember my mom saying to me that I didn't eat for 2 weeks after. But I grew up in a family where the entire family were in the farming industry. My dad had an abattoir. He had a transport industry. They had one of the biggest cattle farming, initiatives in Namibia. So I also got beaten for not wanting to eat meat.
Yes,
You know, so
sadly,
yes.
on that point, a lot of parents, with the best will in the world, have this reaction as, so what's wrong with my food?
Yes.
Not realizing it's actually got nothing to do with them.
Nothing.
In fact, it's got nothing to do with you.
Yes.
It's about, and that's the thing. When you are focused on animal issues, it's not about Petro, it's not about me, it's about the animals who are suffering at the hands of other humans. And these days, I mean, we can send people to the moon, and we're capable of incredible technology. When it works, it's amazing. This morning clearly wasn't one of those.
It wasn't working this morning. We could not get in. We could not. I literally, I mean, I got up to see this is all flamingo, and I wanted to look all pretty, and she was like, "No, you can keep your pajama pants on," and luckily I didn't, because I had to get into the car and rush to here so that we can do the talk. But continue.
But yes, sending people to the moon. We've got amazing technology. These days, you can wear or eat anything that is incredibly delicious. We have a global village. We have, the numbers keep changing, but we have a minimum of 20,000 edible plants on the planet, and I'm assuming that includes fungus, mushrooms. And people are hysterical about, but I'm entitled to my braai.
But that's another question. Yes, I'm entitled. Yes, but that's another question that I have for you. But continue the story.
And guess what? You know, we braai too. We eat pizza and we have burgers and
the most amazing.
We have the most amazing food, and over and above that, I have never yet come across a vegan. And just to clarify, there's a difference between plant-based and vegan. You can be plant-based, which is fantastic. Plant-based is about a diet, and you do that because you're concerned about the environment and you're concerned about your personal health, and that's great. There's no problem with that.
Yes.
Vegan is a way of life that seeks to exclude any harm, violence, or malice to any other being for any reason whatsoever. So vegans do not just not eat animals. Or their secretions. Vegans do not wear them. Vegans do not support animal-based entertainment. Vegans do not, when they can, have leather car seats or leather couches or leather shoes or snakeskin belts or anything like that. And yes, one can be vegan and still be driving a car that has leather seats, because we are not all in a position to be able to say, right, I've changed my lifestyle, so everything must go.
Exactly.
Especially if a car has been passed on to you by somebody else and it's been in the family, or it's from however. But it's about doing the best you can to remove yourself from the cycle of violence in which we find ourselves, and that's the point. It is all about non-violence. And so for me, I find the difficulty is that people are good people, they're kind people, they are generous, hulle is vrygewig van siel.
Ja, mooi, hulle is mooi mense, nee.
Yet there is a disconnect between who's on their plate and who they love. And we definitely categorize animals. You know, we have domestic animals who we love and have in our homes. And then we have wildlife that we can look at a distance and enjoy. And then we have those we eat who get no consideration whatsoever. And I need to say this because it cannot be said enough.
Yes.
Free range does nothing for the animals.
Exactly.
It makes people feel better about their choices.
Yes. And so do the other labels that come with your food as well.
Correct.
It's totally for you.
It's yes. And that is an important distinction. Yes. So to get back to my original stance was, I have not yet met a vegan who has said or has not said, I wish I'd done this sooner.
Yeah.
It is the one common refrain you will hear from every single vegan.
Yes.
And yes, vegans then contribute less to climate change, to deforestation, to pollution, to water usage, to misery, suffering, and death.
All the violent things.
All the violent things.
Yes.
Their health generally tends to be better.
Yeah.
Because, yes, absolutely, there are a lot of vegans, like me, who loves junk food. But I'm not in it for my health.
Yeah.
But not eating animals improves one's health, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you are not susceptible to dread diseases. It makes you far less susceptible. It also means you recover faster. And there are more and more anecdotes coming out from people who have made decisions to go plant-based because of illness, who've recovered. And when very often for people who start a plant-based diet, and I know over a couple of people, because they've been plant-based for a while, they suddenly start thinking about other issues that relate to animals and food.
Yes.
And so they then stop wearing them and stop supporting animal entertainment and so on and so forth.
I mean, I still have leather products from my, and what I call it before I, transitioned.
Your pre-V days.
Yes, because also back then you didn't get the leather products. You didn't get the pineapple leather. I mean, this is all new technology that's, in the recent years come out. And also, I mean, the leather products just lasted so much longer than the other crap that was on the market. But now there's so many more products out there.
Yes.
It's really good quality. It's going to last you even longer than what, your animal products are going to last you. And it's cruelty free. It's guilt-free. It's just more beautiful and peaceful. And on that note, if we look at religions and we look at traditions, I find it so crazy, especially for Easter, and I was very angry last week. I mean, I did a few posts, but I find it so ridiculous. And here was my question: what do eggs have to do with bunnies? And what do bunnies have to do with Jesus celebrating?
They don't, because they all come from pagan rituals pre those days, and so they, as in the Christian religion, because at the time, in order to fit in with everybody else, they took part of those rituals.
Yes.
So, I mean, eggs symbolize fertility.
Yeah.
So do the rabbits, clearly.
Yes.
Yes. And so it's become part and parcel of it. But here's my take on this: the lamb.
The lamb is supposed to be the symbol of innocence, right? And yet we slaughter the lamb. So I just don't get that. So for me,
I think we must veer away from this
subject. Yes, from this topic. But I will say that look at your religious practices and question it.
Which all promote peace and love.
Yes.
And all the Abrahamic religions say,
but you just walked away from.
Okay.
Yes.
It didn't say thou shalt not kill humans or thy brother or sister or thou shalt not kill. Yes. Full stop.
Yes. So I have a little that popped into my mind is, with the entitlement of people considering, I mean, I wrote it down.
Okay.
So I said, what do you think is the cause of people not wanting to stop eating meat? So tradition, conditioning, I think, the entitlement,
habit,
that physically that you've gotten so used to that taste and that you're so, it's like the smoker's mudra. When people stop smoking, okay, they kind of miss the whole way of standing in a certain position with that. So I would call this sort of like the meat-eating mudra, is the coming together, the way that you feel when you're with your friends and that. But it's
but there's a difference. Hold on, no. I'm going to shoot that down in flames.
Yes,
there's a huge difference. I was a smoker.
Yes,
I smoked way too much. When I stopped smoking, I just stopped doing the things that I associated with smoking. So, for example, if it was coffee after supper, I stopped having coffee for a while.
Yeah.
Not forever, just for a while, because they seemed to go together.
Yes.
Good idea. I found other things to do with my hands. I chewed gum, because if you're chewing gum, just think about this for all you smokers out there. If you're chewing gum, you're not smoking. Nobody does both.
Yeah.
And now with Nicorettes, well, that makes it easier, I suppose,
yes,
although you're exchanging one for the other, but at least you're not impacting on everybody else around you.
Yes.
So you're not subjecting your domestic animals and the rest of your family to secondhand smoke.
Yes. But the question of the why is so difficult for them.
But it's also, this is a very important point. we all like to think that we're good people.
Yeah.
Even bad people like to
Yes.
think they're good people.
Yes.
When I say bad, I'm talking about bad people.
Yes, bad.
We all like to think that we're good people and that we're kind and all the rest of it. And so the mere presence of a vegan at the table
It's very intimidating.
is intimidating
Yeah.
and somehow sends out the signal that what you're doing is wrong. You don't have to say a word. You just have to be there.
You just have to think about
and so
you and you're
people
wrong.
start becoming defensive.
Yeah.
And they become defensive because on a cellular level, deep down, way in their ankles, they know that what they're doing is not okay. And it's called cognitive oh, for heaven's sake.
Yes, and I know exactly.
That stuff.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're doing. Yes. I can't pronounce it, but yes, I know exactly.
Dissonance.
Yes, dissonance.
Where your brain and your emotions are at odds with one another.
Yeah.
So there are things that you do that you know are wrong, harmful, not okay.
Yes.
And your brain has to justify it. So it just cuts off all the information that's out there.
Yes.
And so, which is the reason that people become defensive. And also it's don't tell me what to do.
Yes.
And I'm like that. I have a big issue with being told what to do.
Yeah, no, but nobody likes to be told what to do.
Especially as an adult.
Yes, but here's the thing again, veganism. And I said, put the word aside. Because you are a vegan and it's all about you today, Toni, you know? Put the word of veganism aside. It really is about the violence on this planet.
Yes.
And if we are to move into a more harmonious state of being ourselves and then create more harmony in our environment and create a more harmonious environment, we have to let go of the violence. And the violent thinking, the violent acting, the violent doing, the violent being, the taking the knife and stabbing something.
There's one word that encapsulates it all, which is Sanskrit ahimsa.
Ahimsa.
There you go. It means non-harm and non-violence, and it is simply about living your life in a non-harmful and non-violent way.
In a unicorn light magical way, you know, where we can look at the lamb and go, oh my goodness, so beautiful. And we can look at the rhino and we're like, oh, we don't need anything.
Well, here's what's
the
interesting.
And
it's you know, when I stop smoking, people say, well, do you feel any different? No, but I'm aware of the fact that my curtains don't smell and my clothing doesn't smell. And it took me a while to get through that.
Yeah.
When I changed my eating habits and my lifestyle outlook or my life outlook, people would ask the same thing, and my answer stays the same. No, I don't feel any different. I just sleep better. I feel better in here.
Yes.
It's just a calm.
Yeah.
It's
a clear
sense
conscience.
Of calm,
it's
you're just more at ease with yourself and therefore with the world.
Yes.
There is no other way to describe it, and you don't realize where you are right now as a carnist until you move away from it. Exactly. So I can't tell you
the level of sensitivity
what you feel like, because it's something that you have to experience for yourself. But what I can tell you is, and this is another thing that everybody says, the people who didn't like cooking before are now playing in the kitchen. The people who only made 3 kinds of meals are now saying, there's so many interesting ingredients out there. There's so many tastes and textures. There's so much new stuff available that I never, it's always actually been out there, but you haven't noticed it because
you've been fed, and I'll say it, and it's totally me, because you've been fed a lie. You've been fed a lie. You've been fed the biggest lie, and this is how I feel about it, you know, is the killing of animals, the eating of animals. You know, I mean, here's my next question to this. So when you can't eat animals and say you love them too, that was the one.
Yes.
And what do we consider being pets? What do we consider being animals? What do we consider being, you know, the ones that we love? Okay. You know, the differentiation between that. I mean, because this is what people get angry at, is that little sentence is, you can't love animals and eat them too.
Of course not. No, of course not. Yeah. There are pet lovers and there are animal lovers.
Yes.
It's just that simple.
So give me your,
There are pet lovers and there are animal lovers.
Punt.
It is, yeah.
Exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Geen question mark.
No, just a little full stop. Just a quiet little.
You know?
And again, it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It's normally just that they haven't thought about it. It hasn't occurred to them. Yeah. It's part of what we do and how we are and so on and so forth. But the thing is that, I mean...
And also they're not able to watch the documentaries that we have watched. I've noticed this. Because I have my family, my friends, and I share, I mean, I go and I watch it and I cry. Good Lord, I cry. And, you know, and then I get over it, but then at least I know, and that's in my awareness.
And it empowers you to continue what you're doing and open yourself up to more.
And it's hectic. And you know what, I was watching Dominion the other day. And at one point I was sitting and working, watching it because I had a lot of work. I have a lot of work to do. Please sign up for all the work that I do. But, and I heard somebody scream and I thought, oh, that's a human. And I looked and it was a sheep. But in that moment, I mean, I know they make sounds, you know, animals are not voiceless, even though we say voiceless and voiceless.
Well, what they mean is they don't speak our language.
Yes, you know, but it's more sort of like, humans don't listen. I'm going more with that thing, as animals do have voices, but we don't listen. And if an animal's cry can sound to me like a human cry,
yes.
I mean, you know, watch Dominion. And what I've heard from people is, no, we do love animals. We're not bad people, but, you know, we do continue eating this and this. Then you love certain animals.
Yes, but there's a disconnect. Don't forget also, in that lie is...
And watch it.
You have mutton curry, not dead sheep curry. You know.
Yeah.
You have ribs, which are disconnected from the animal.
Yeah.
That it comes from.
Yeah.
You don't have sliced smoked pig slices. You have bacon.
Yeah.
And by the way, bacon is like so overrated. But having said that, it is so easy to make animal-free bacon.
Yes. Yes.
You know, all you need are rice strips.
Yes.
Mail me. I'll send you the recipe.
Yes. Oh, yes, because Toni also loves eating. She loves eating, and I am so jealous because she makes the most amazing food, and then she posts it on Facebook, and then I see it because I'm too lazy to make my own food, because then I just have like a whole avo, which is not boring. I just have like a whole avo or a whole tomato.
Avo is never boring.
Yeah.
A whole avo is vegan.
Yeah. So we are celebrating you. You are vegan. You've been vegan for 14 years. You know, have you seen many people transition?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. And very often, what has been interesting over time is that I have a food album on Facebook.
Yeah.
And what I've done is not all the recipes are shared there, because it's more about look at this and get an idea of this is something you can emulate, you can try, you can use as an idea. Is to take ordinary food, it's just animal free. So sometimes I have included recipes, but I know that people get stuck because I know of people honest. I know of people who eat the same thing every Monday and every Tuesday. As in Monday they do this and Tuesday they do that. No, please don't tell me that. And Wednesday they, and there is a person I know who, if they buy mayo on the first of the month and they drop the jar and break it on Tuesday, there is no more mayo for the rest of the month. That's it. Okay.
Oh, no, I don't get it.
Life is so much more exciting. But because I'm aware of that, and I know that people won't try spinach pasta because pasta must be white, or they won't try brown rice because they grew up with white rice, or they won't try Mexican food because they've only ever tried Malay curry and Sunday roast. And it's easy to get stuck into a rut. I mean, we all do in some way or another, in some fashion or form. So I've done that. So I've had a number of people who've private messaged me to say, I've started looking at your things and I've started making this, and we're now doing meat-free Mondays or whatever the case. Oh, I just need to just hop in here. I'll get back to that now.
Yes.
I really do have an issue with meatless Mondays and meatless May and all the rest of it, because meatless means you're going without, where meat-free is a choice. It's like childless and child-free.
Yes.
I'm proudly child-free.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Childless is a state of not not being in a
almost like
position to be
there's
able
a
to
loss
have.
of something.
There is a loss.
Yes.
Meat free Monday, and tantalizing Tuesday, and wonderful Wednesday, and all the rest of it, all of which are meat free.
Yeah.
And dairy free, and egg free, and all the rest of it.
No animal products.
No animal products.
No violence.
So there's the food album side of things, which has definitely started people on a journey, which is absolutely fantastic and so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a restaurateur up the road from us, who, when I met her, was sort of not, flexitarian was probably the closest. Sort of once, she ate birds on occasion and fish.
Yeah.
And we started chatting. And January, a couple of years ago, I got a message to say, I've come to the dark side. And I sat at my computer and I cried.
Aww.
It was the most fantastic thing.
Yes. And I want to say something to that. I've come to the dark side.
Yeah.
Enlightenment and awareness and consciousness and all these higher states or more expansive states that we go into, it is painful to get there. Because you're challenging the mind, you're challenging the heart, you're challenging your physique,
you're challenging society,
your relationships. You know, it's change. Change isn't always easy, but when you get through that, it is so beautiful.
What the caterpillar sees as the end of the world, the butterfly sees as a beginning. So said somebody or other.
Yes. I really like you. So I have a hashtag. Okay, I am like Toni's biggest fan at the moment, biggest groupie ever. And I said
there was a movie about biggest fans, and that was really scary.
Well, no, but I'm not a stalker. Okay, again, we're not going into the violent. We're just going into the celebratory thing, way of things. But I hashtagged this, and I said, when I grow up, I want to be like Toni Brockhoven. And I really do, because I think you're so amazing. I want to ask you a question. How many protests, or not protests, but how many marches have you done to date?
I can't tell you, because there's
so many.
Yes,
almost every weekend.
It's been 10 years, and when the circus is in town, there's one every week. So that's normally a couple of months, and then there are a couple of big marches every year as well.
Yeah.
So
a lot.
Yes.
And on the Matriarch Club, I've done a little article about her, which she helped me write. And there's amazing pictures. I took more pictures. I mean, I have like a whole album.
I haven't seen it. I have no idea.
She hasn't seen it. But
and no, she wrote it. I just edited it because there were a couple of things, missing comma here. Or
yes, of course. My grammar, I'm not good with that. Really, I'm not. I think people read my post and they go, "Oh, God." Grammar, point, exclamation mark, comments.
And just making sure I wasn't referred to as a 40-year-old something or a 70-year-old something.
No, you're my hero. I told you. You're my bunny hugger hero.
Sorry, just
or was it the tree hugger? Was it proudly bunny hugger or proudly tree hugger? Which was the
bunny hugger?
Yes.
But I had trees too, physically.
Yeah, I also do.
There is. We were talking about the food album.
Yes.
Over and above that, what's been interesting over the years is people who have started coming to circus protests. You've just been your average person in the street.
Yeah.
And they've come to circus demos, and we've started chatting, and they've come to more circus demos. And then they've slowly realized connections. And now we don't eat lions and tigers. But they've become vegan through attending circus protests.
Yes.
It is so awesome and so inspiring and so absolutely wonderful and
humbling. I find it always overwhelming and humbling.
It's overwhelming, because I know that a lot of people are against single issue campaigns, and I agree with it and I understand it. But single issue campaigns also help people realize other things, because if you just say to somebody, go vegan, whatever, people don't think about all the other little things involved, like going to animal circuses or like buying a new couch with leather, any one of a number of things, adopting and not buying a specific breed animal. There's so many little things to consider, but very often a single issue can open eyes,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. So about the circus thing, I had an interview with Toni a while back. We were talking about circuses. So there is one on the channel here, so you can go into that. I don't know if you mentioned how you felt the first time you went to a circus. But you know, these marches, and this is also, you've basically answered the question, is I wanted to ask her why it's so important to do what she does. And this is it, you know, Toni being Toni, so fully, so unapologetically, so beautifully, and kindly. I mean, you really welcome anyone.
Yes.
You know, she welcomes anyone. And where I'm very much at the moment, I'm like, I don't want to see people. I don't want to speak to people. I only want to meet vegans. I only want to sit at the table with vegans, you know. So I'm going through my own little tantrum at the moment. But she really welcomes everyone. And you being you is a catalyst for other people evolving and taking a closer look at themselves. And you're just like a little helping hand.
Well, it's somebody said that if one person stands up and says, this is not okay, this is what I stand for, it enables other people to do the same thing, because it always just takes one person to stand up. And I'm not alone in this. I mean, there are plenty of people around who are also standing up and doing things that they believe very firmly in. And it's really important. And there are a number of people who are not able to, or unwilling to, for whatever reason,
make the change.
I have a mouth.
Yeah.
I have no problem using it.
Yes.
I mean, the first time I ever did public speaking.
But more importantly, you have a voice.
Yes. Well, I mean, have mouth or travel.
Yes, but yes, the voice is, I mean, I saw a picture, like that picture is, I have to find that picture. But it was taken at an angle, and you have the loudspeaker, and you are, it's full power mode, and I just saw your being. I looked at that picture and I was like, oh, that's who you are. You know, I mean, I know who you are.
I know what you mean.
But in that image, I could see the voice of the animal kingdom, and I could see this person just being so fully herself, leading the crowd, leading people who have come up, you know, making the banners, you know, we were there. But in that image, I could really see you, and I fell in love. I really fell in love, and I was like, I need to do more. You know, that's how you've inspired me. It's like, I need to show up more unapologetically.
The thing is that there are so many people doing so much already, and there is always more to be done. I mean, I wake up every morning thinking there is so much to do, and there is never enough time. And I also have to. And this year I've started saying, hold on a second, this is me time. I'm actually not answering the phone.
Good.
I put my phone on silent in the evening.
So speak. I just want to put the plug in. So speak. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to lose power.
It's just about finding your passion, whatever it is. So whether it is an issue like palm oil, whether it's environmental, whether it's specifically animals, whether it is one specific thing within the realm of environmentalism, it's fine. Start with one thing. In fact, Brahma Herba is the one who says, do one thing.
Yeah, one thing, one thing.
I find I can't just do one thing. I'm Gemini. You know, you get five for the price of one.
But some people choose one. You know, don't think people are fighting for animals. Ask about children. Go do something for the children if you care about the children. There are a lot of people doing something for children. Absolutely. Refugees, a lot of people doing something for refugees. Animals, a lot of people. You know, cockroaches, even cockroaches. People do, you know, whatever it is, but don't challenge other people doing good.
No, but here's one thing that I have to say is that people who are already involved in some kind of charity work, outreach work on whatever sphere, never ask, why aren't you doing more for X, Y, and Z? It's only people who don't do anything.
Yeah, thank you.
And we actually, it's happening less now than before. Where we still get, you know, why are you wasting your time? Well, it's my time. I gathered I was entitled to use it as I see fit.
Yes, and also we've come with a purpose. You know, once you know what your purpose is, okay?
Yes.
You know inherently, instinctively what your own capacity is, and you will go and work according to that. For me, I'm not choosing animals, women and children. Okay?
Yes.
Animals, women and children. That's me. That's where I'd like to put my focus on. Inherently, when you work with a child, you also work with humanity. You work with the rest,
Yes.
male, female. But animals, really, for me at the moment, this is where my focus is going on. I don't need to hear about. I know about the rest of the stuff that's also going on. Okay, but I'm choosing.
Yes, but here's another
Yeah.
thing also. I focus on animals publicly.
Yeah.
That's what my social media is for.
Yeah.
And that's the work that I do on a day-to-day basis. And that's what I wake with in my head every morning. What I do for non-animals, as in human animals, does not go onto social media because then I'm doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
There are over 1,000 registered charities in South Africa focusing on humans already. There are plenty of non-registered people and organizations focusing on humans. There is enough attention there already. I'm not saying there's enough work being done, but I mean, that requires time, dedication, effort, volunteers, funding, as do our issues. But I choose not to take a selfie while I'm doing something. I mean, it's like just so.
And also, there's the privacy of when you're working with people. There's also the privacy aspect.
And their dignity, dignity, absolutely, yes.
You should have to treat them as a human being, not as something for your own ego now.
Yes.
Yes.
And look, I know some people who are doing some amazing things for Mozambique and all the rest of it. And as I say, I help as much as I can where I can in a number of different areas. But when it comes to the people things, that's got nothing to do with anybody else.
So Toni, do you feel like your personal life and your private life, I know that you said you've put your phone off now, but ultimately for me, I've made a choice. My personal life is my professional life. Yes, there's no separation between that. I am always going to arrive as an activist. I'm always going to arrive as an artist. I'm always going to arrive as an ambassador. I'm always going to speak my truth. I'm not going to separate the two.
No, absolutely. Yes. I mean, the neighbors all know who I am and what I do.
Yes.
All the neighbors have been given a humane guide as soon as it was posted.
Yeah.
And the neighbors all know that, well, they know I am the biggest voice about people speeding in the village and why and all the rest of it.
I even did that today.
I wasn't going to mention that, but you won't do it again.
We were late. No, I wouldn't. And I did slow down as I came around the corner because I was like, no, this is too small.
But yes, I am who I am. So it's not. I don't leave the office. I am the office, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I'm also the office. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Exactly.
It's not. I'm not BWC, but I am the office in that.
Wherever
I am, yes, but the way I live is representative of who I am. Yes. So I can't cast it off. I went to Theatre on the Bay last night.
Yes.
We went to go and see this new off-Broadway thingy, which was delightful. Yes. I don't know what it is about Theatre on the Bay, but it seems to attract fur hags. And I'm sorry, there's no other way of saying it, all right? Yes. Fur hags. And so there was, and every time it happens, I promise myself I'm going to go home and put a fur pamphlet in every one of my bags so that when I go out, I don't have to say anything. Yeah. I can go up and say, this might be interesting. Yes. And leave it at that. Yes. Because I sit and I seethe all the way through. Yes. And I wasn't on my own. I mean, I was with my husband, the hub. And I mean, I know he sees these things and he just thinks, please no. Okay.
But you know what? I want to say something about that because, and I'm going to say vegan, whether you don't even have to be vegan. All you have to be is to be sensitive to other beings and respectful to other beings and to life and to hearts and to skin and to something, what you consider being alive. Once you are, it's not even about veganism for you.
No,
once you are like, it is, I don't want to say painful, but it is sad. Like I get sad.
Yes.
I want to weep. I want to sit there and cry. And one thing that I got a while back was because I meditate and everybody knows I'm like, whoo, but the intuition that came to me is that once you wake up, once the individual wakes up, the pain that comes through, and I've experienced it, the actual awakening, the actual becoming aware, the actual becoming, conscious of it, then my nature to find out, how things work, where the fur comes from, how these animals are farmed, how they are bred, how they are killed. When you see that, then when you go out to an event and you see people wearing that, we are being reminded of where we are on the planet and how much work there is still to do. And for people that are in the line of work that we are, you also want to go out and just for once, just, see the opposite, and not the fur, not the people wearing fur, but just.
Do you know what the temperature was in Cape Town last night?
It was hot. It was.
Thank you.
Yes, it was hot.
I mean, I was in a short sleeve little top.
Yes.
And here was this person in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is painful for people like us.
It is physically painful.
Yeah.
Yes.
To see that.
But you learn to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like any other pain. You learn to deal with it. You learn to. Well, it becomes part and parcel of you, and it is part and parcel of being an activist. It doesn't matter, again, it doesn't matter what sphere you choose. I have no doubt that Doctors Without Borders go through a similar emotional trauma as animal activists do, as do nurses, as do firefighters who have to deal with absolute horrors. Because all of that there are always casualties, whether they be human or non-human.
And also, for me, Toni, is like I see myself as the earth at the moment. So this is my viewpoint. Okay, so whatever I put onto my body, whatever I put into my body, whatever I do, I see that as 100%. That is what I'm doing to the earth and to every single being on the earth.
Yes.
So I wouldn't go and skin a child or skin myself to wear that. So I wouldn't do that to an animal. I wouldn't put anybody through that live, because this also happens live. I have to mention that. I wouldn't do that to another human being or another being. I just wouldn't. I mean, I can barely kill a fly at the moment.
Well, yes, it's quite interesting.
I'm like, you're irritating me. I just want to.
But they also have a place.
But then I think, oh my God, no, I can't. Yes, they have a place. So my next question, because this is obviously a very long interview, and Toni also has to go somewhere after a moment, but I have a few words that I want to ask you. I'm just going to mention the word, and then I want you to give me your opinion or your understanding or your belief on that.
Okay, yeah.
Animals.
Everyone.
Beautiful. Beautiful, thank you. Love.
Action.
Yeah. Would you say inspired action? Because you get action, but maybe not from a good place, but inspired action or love is action?
No, love as action.
Yeah.
It is work is love made visible.
Yeah.
Was that Khalil Gibran?
Yeah.
I think it might have been, or somebody.
Yeah.
But yes, it is manifesting the physical of how you feel.
Yeah. Food. Toni loves food and I love food, and I really wish that she would cook for me.
Yeah, no, you will come for lunch. Food.
Think about it. She's
Pleasure,
written 3 books.
Delight.
Yeah.
No, 2. Well, no, it's actually been 1 book, but it was then reprinted because we sold out. And I'm busy with the second one.
Yes.
And it's been done through Beauty Without Cruelty. And the first one was called Living Without Cruelty.
Yes.
And I haven't thought of the title for the second one yet. But it, proceeds go to Beauty Without Cruelty. So I mean, there's nothing in it for me.
Yes.
What is in it for me is people finding joy and delight in things that are easily made with local products or local ingredients and having fun.
Yeah.
Because it's Food for me is also an expression of love.
Yeah.
Friends are ill, they've gone through something, then it's very Yiddish mama. Food.
Yes. I'm also like when somebody food, I can feed you. Yeah.
It's because sometimes a hug is not enough and words are insufficient.
Yeah. And we know that we can't do it.
And anything. I don't want to come and clean your house, but I'll bake you something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's your way of expressing your love.
That's also,
Beautiful. Yeah. So it's also love for you. Food is also love.
Yes.
I love that. Humanity.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Can we come back to that one?
We can.
No. I'll tell you why. Because I believe in the inherent goodness of people, while at the same time I'm aware of the horrific cruelty we are all capable of on a daily basis, because I deal with it and I work with it on a daily basis.
Yeah. I have not met a person that works with animals that like human beings.
Humanity specifically, I don't like. People I like. I mean, individuals. Let's separate them out. Individuals are nice. People suck, as a general rule. No. But here's the thing. Also, I mean, everybody is rah China this and China that and Chinese people this and Chinese people that. Hold on a second. Let's just take that one step back
and also bring it closer. Yeah.
We do terrible things in every single country, and I realized that when I was still furious with Namibia about their seal killing. Yeah. And I have no intention of going to Namibia until they stop killing seals, baby seals in particular, nursing pups who vomit milk when they're being beaten to death, and so on and so forth.
Thank you for mentioning.
And I then realized, but hold on, we do equally disgusting things here. And every country in the world has appalling animal practices in some fashion or form. So, and
where is your love? Like, where is your action?
Yes.
Where are the people from this country protecting the heritage from this country? Not even, it's not ours. It's these animals belong to in Africa, on African soil. This is where they were born. This is where they were, where they
wildlife is actually ours.
Yes, and we are
they
supposed
belong
to be
us collectively.
Yes, and we are meant to be the guardians and the stewards of this earth. And where are the South Africans coming together saying no?
Well, actually, there are a lot of people saying no, and there are a lot of people doing amazing things. Yes. Unfortunately, we have a government who actually doesn't care.
Yes,
that's
yeah. So, farming.
You're not talking about wheat farming, are you?
No. Just farming. Farming, okay. Animal farming. Okay, I should have said animal farming. Cruelty and death. Violence, cruelty, and death. Yeah. Injustice.
Yes.
Yeah. Taking. Yeah. Animal laws in South Africa.
Is that a question?
It's like a sentence. I wanted a word, but then I thought, okay.
Animal, not enough.
Not enough.
Yes. We need more laws protecting animals for the animal's sake, not because of how humans feel about it.
Yeah.
And we need stricter controls, and we need to revise our outlook on animals in general. So that, the first thing that needs to change is that animals must not be seen as property or movable property in South African law, and that's the problem.
Yes.
I've just had an ongoing little saga on social media about neutering stray animals.
Yeah.
If I see a stray animal in my neighborhood and he's a male because it's easier to see and he hasn't been denapped, I will take him and I will have him denapped. I've done it before, I will do it again. Yes, but that sounds like somebody, you're violating the rights of somebody else.
Or now we're being contradictory, now we're saying, vegans are saying, yeah, humans shouldn't interfere, but then we do that.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to, we always interfere.
Yeah,
but normally we interfere when it suits us.
Yes, yes.
When one of the biggest and most important things that has to happen in this country is mandatory sterilization for all domestic animals, and no, we don't need any more breeders. There are no shortage, or there is no shortage of dogs and cats.
Yes, yes.
Mandatory sterilization. Because it's not about you. It's about the fact that your animal is going to impregnate somebody else's who may not have had theirs done because their animal is still too young, but it's just come into heat, or they're also irresponsible. And a welfare organization is going to be the group that has to handle the fallout. In other words, take those animals in, try and find homes. And believe me, there are not enough homes for the number of homeless animals that there are in this country. And then everybody wants to go, oh, you can't call the SPCA because they will euthanize. Well, what do you suggest? I'm sorry, I do not believe in life in a cage because life is life at any cost. Life in a cage is not a life. And when I see stories about a dog has just been adopted after 4 years of being in a kennel, I am enraged. I'm not saddened. I'm enraged and furious because that is not what should happen.
Yeah,
you know.
I agree.
So we need to cut it off at the source. We need to ensure animals are neutered. And I'm sorry, your right to be a dickhead does not overcome my right to do what is right for society and animals as a whole.
Yeah, and also you do it at your own cost, you know.
I do.
And you do it at your own cost. And where are the people also? And I mean, I said this yesterday when we did a repost of those lions, those lion cubs with the skin disease. You know, where are the millionaires and the billionaires? And where are the people with the money who can come in and in one clean swoop fix the problem? But we don't. They don't.
Because if they do, another group of people are going to say, but what are you doing about the starving masses, the homeless, the jobless, ad infinitum, all around the world? I think we've covered that, You know. And when you're wealthy, you may do what you like with your funding. But there are so many people who are also doing so much. Unfortunately, when it comes to Africa, and in fact, this whole Notre Dame thing has raised this issue. $60 billion comes to Africa every single year. The money's not getting to the people it's intended to because it's being pocketed by the people who are taking the money in. So you can't malign people for not doing something when they are, because you're not seeing the results. You need to actually have the facts at hand. And again, what are you doing? What has your contribution been in terms of time, spreading the word, donations in kind or in funding? And there's so many ways to help. This is the thing. It's not, there's a wonderful thing for welfare. It's if you can't adopt, foster. If you can't foster, donate. If you can't donate, spread the word. There's always something that can be done.
Do something.
It's
so you done with that one? So my next, because you also have to leave in a bit. The government, you don't have to answer, but the South African government pertaining to wildlife. You don't have to answer, but you can answer.
That was an answer.
So
the facts of the matter are that we live in a country with a disproportionate society. And the focus is on humans, which is as it should be. But what has happened is the focus has been on humans. The fact that there's been no delivery is another story altogether. The focus is on humans to the exclusion of everything else, forgetting that wildlife is part of our collective heritage. They are national assets, which mean they belong to us all. And it is an absolute travesty and a tragedy that our animals are being sold to the highest bidder, and because it's short-sighted,
mismanaged.
Yes. I've actually just shared some information somewhere, I can't remember where I've explained yet again that wildlife ecotourism brings in, and tourism in general brings in so much more money into the country than hunting does.
Yes.
And 1 in 12 jobs in this country is directly or indirectly related to tourism. So you know, it might be somebody working in a hotel somewhere. That being linked to tourism because they're in
people
a
come to
tourism hub.
Africa to see the wild animals, you
Preferably
know.
enough.
And I think that this whole farming and land ownership, you know, lift the fences, work together so that animals have more land to roam.
Yes.
Okay, work together, you know, because there's fencing in, having to cull, having to kill, which is murder, which is violent, which is robbing, you know, the continent and robbing these species of survival and literally causing extinction. This is what you're doing.
Of course, we're causing extinction.
Yes.
And there are more farm animals on the planet than there is wildlife at the moment. Which is absolutely ludicrous. But the most important thing that humankind needs to do right now, besides not using plastic and not eating animals and so on and so forth, is stop breeding. Stop breeding. We don't have enough space. That's the problem. We are breeding out of control. And very often the people who are having the most children are the ones who can least afford to, because it's all very well being fertile and loving children and having an intense joy and
population control. We need a structure for population control, definitely.
But there's no consideration given to homing, feeding, educating. I mean, the cost of education just generally, and no, we can't just someone give free education to everybody. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's not viable. There isn't enough money. It is that simple.
And there's not enough money because where's the money going to? Like you said, like the money that's coming into Africa from overseas. Like where's the money going to, and where's the taxpayers' money going to? And I will say that.
Yes.
Like I really don't like governments. I really don't. And I maybe should not say this online, but I kind of feel like, you know, everybody's asleep. You work so hard, and then you fill in your forms come a financial end year, and you pay the government, and you're unhappy about it, and you swear at the government, and then come election, you choose the same people, or you don't even vote again. But where's the money going to?
Yes, but here's the thing. I have friends who believe that we the people should govern ourselves.
Yes, govern ourselves.
Hold on. Everything works when it's on paper. As soon as you add people to the mix, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because if we are going to live in a society where everybody is going to take responsibility for their own space, we can't even get people to stop littering, okay?
Yeah.
Right. So you're now going to expect that we, the people, are going to ensure that our roads are okay, our hospitals are sorted out, that orphans are fed and cared for properly, and education. You're always going to have one person doing all the work because they have a passion for it, they have the drive, the initiative, and the good intentions. And it's going to out of four people, you're going to have one person doing most of the work, and you have one person saying, well, look, everybody else is doing it, so why should I? I'm going to get paid anyway.
It is always
so
like that.
And we can't get people to agree on pretty much anything about anything.
Yes.
All right. If we can't get people to agree to not use plastic bags, because we're still seeing plastic bags being bought by the 100 every day at every supermarket.
Because of money, because it's cheaper, and because, you know, that way the
No, it's because they don't care. Because and I now have so many reusable shoppers in my car. It's embarrassing, because I will go in and I'll think, oh, I just need that.
Yeah.
And then I realize my bag's too small because I've now bought this, and I refuse to buy plastic, so I buy another reusable bag. It's costing me a fortune.
Yeah.
And so, which is now why I've also started giving gifts in shopping bags, you know. Instead of wrapping it up, there's your gift, because it's, you know, it might only be so big, but it's in a bag this big that you can now use when you go shopping.
Yes.
We can't get people just to stop using plastic shopping bags.
Yeah.
How do you think we're going to get people to agree collectively to crime and punishment, violence, invasions,
all of
anything that is required to run a country successfully. And it doesn't matter whether you are a capitalist or not. I'm not a material girl, but I like things. Okay. So as I've said before, my designer labels of choice are AC Kerman and Monsieur Peace and Mrs. Woolworths.
Look, we live in a consumer-based world. Like we all
it's
shop.
difficult to get difficult to get away from it.
Yes.
But all of these things have to work in a functioning society. Who's going to keep the lights on? If we're okay, they're not being kept on at the moment, so maybe that's a really bad example.
Yeah, but I feel like, if we are gonna, we have to challenge the governments at some. We have to challenge them and get the right people in governance.
Yes,
not the wrong people. We have to squish out.
If it was left, yes, but the point is, if it was left to you and I, we would have the right people, and we would, who have the right intentions and able to commit to doing things and get them done. The difficulty is, look at Brexit. Okay, they still can't make up their minds. They're still arguing. It's years down the line. And heaven forbid, look at the States.
Yes,
I have to say that I've been watching the news every morning because of
good to
American
say
news. Now I'm not. There's so much drama happening here, and there's nothing I can do to fix it. All right, so I do what I can where I can. But I watch what's happening in America with gratitude, because there's someone out there worse than what we've got here. And that's a terrible state to be in. And I feel sorry for him. I do actually feel sorry for him. You know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I know.
Because he's in over his head. He doesn't realize it, and he definitely does have health issues of some description or another.
Yes.
He's like the playground bully who's just been made head prefect.
Yes.
No sense of justice, no sense of right and wrong. It's like he's had a lobotomy. Because that's what takes your sense of moral direction. I
also wonder what the plan is behind that. Like I take everything with a pinch of salt, and I kind of watch everything as if I'm watching it through a telescope. So I can have like.
Fortunately, it's through a telescope.
Yes. So let me bring the focus back onto you. So Toni really is somebody that I like so much. I like you so much. And she does.
She's angling for a lunch.
I am. But I wanted to ask advice because we have to say goodbye. I wanted to ask advice for people who want to start something, whether it's a protest or a march. What advice do you have? I mean, we can always show up. Yes, quick.
Show up.
Boom. Whoosh. Just show up and do it.
Look on the Beauty Without Cruelty page. Look on my page.
Ask questions.
Yes. Look on Capetonians for Animals.
I mean, I had no idea what I was going to do when I started doing what I still have no idea how I'm going to get to where I want to be. Nobody does.
And just so
but it starts with action.
All our demos, all our protests, whatever you want to call them, all our gatherings are legal. They're all peaceful. They're all child friendly.
And that's the word, the peaceful. We're showing up because we love the animals. We're not showing up because we hate humanity.
Yes.
We're showing up because we love animals.
But we're also there to educate. So people drive past us and they see our posters which say certain things. And they might not do anything about it now, but they'll think about it. And that's what it is. It's about creating the awareness. And if you are already slightly aware and you'd like to get involved, if you see something, we need you. I can't do any of this without everybody else.
Exactly.
I have, and any of us who do this kind of work, can I can certainly write letters, and I can make phone calls, and I can stand there on my own with a placard, which I've done, make no mistake. But we need you to make it successful. And again, I will say, because I've said this in a previous, as consumers, you have got so much power. Every time you spend money, you are voting for what you agree with. So with your next meal choice, you are voting to say, I agree with violence on my plate, or I don't. With your next makeup or household cleaning, I'm voting to say, I'm okay with animal testing, I don't actually care. Or yes, I do, and so I'm going to purchase something that has proven that they don't animal test. Because by the way, in case you didn't know this, companies lie.
They lie, they lie.
Whether it's by intent, or whether it's through omission, or by obfuscation, which is a really nice word on a Friday, by misdirection. So they'll tell you what they're doing about looking for alternatives to animal testing, for example, while they're still doing animal testing. So, and we know that there is no reason to do animal testing for cosmetics these days. There's actually really no reason whatsoever to do animal testing for any reason whatsoever these days, because firstly, animal tests kill people because they waste time, they result in incorrect solutions. So for example, things that have been proven safe through 7 or 8 different animal species series of tests have ended up killing people or causing permanent long-term damage and ill health.
We don't even have the same DNA. Like we don't have the same, like how, you know, there's no, in today's,
you have the same, you are 90%, 98% genetically similar to banana, but we don't use bananas in labs.
No, because they can't scream. They can't scream. So we don't know how much it hurts.
Oh, and just a quickie. I saw something the other day and I thought it was really cute.
Yeah.
How do you know if you should drink milk? It's quite simple. You phone your mother, and depending on how she answers, you will find the answer. If she says moo, drink milk. If she doesn't, drink soy, oat, rice, hemp, quinoa, coconut.
Yes.
Simple.
Because other animals don't drink human milk, so why are we drinking
We are the
theirs?
only animal that still drinks milk after we weaned, and we lose the enzyme that we need to digest milk at the age of roughly 2 years old, which is why so many people are lactose intolerant.
So we have 1 minute, and then you have to go because you have to leave. What is your greatest wish? Your absolute greatest, biggest, humongous, all the biggest
That
wish?
I'd be out of a job. That I'd be out of a job. Because if I was out of a job, it would mean that people are eating kindly, they're buying kindly, they're wearing kindly, they're choosing animal-friendly entertainment, that animal-friendly, in other words, animal-free, experimentation and research is taking place. I could sleep late.
You could sleep late, and it would mean that we're in a non-violent world.
It would mean we're in a non-violent world, yes. That is my greatest wish. That not because I'm fired, but that I'm out of a job because all the issues that we address, which is animal exploitation in all its guises, is over.
Yes, animal exploitation, child exploitation, human exploitation, all of those.
Once the one stops, the others will automatically, because our
it's all
conscious living, will open us up to compassion for.
So we're going to say goodbye. This has been a very long one.
It's been a very long time.
It's been a very long one, yes.
You're still here.
No, it's been but I mean, I've decided when I'm going to speak to somebody, I'm going to speak to them, and it's going to take however long it takes. And if you want to watch it, you watch it. If you don't, you don't. So Toni loves food.
I promise she'll come for lunch, and then she can take photos and share it with you.
She knows how to cook. She knows, I mean, really amazing.
Hey, listen, hold on. Cooking is just about playing in the kitchen. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. You don't have to tell anybody. 1 in 100 things that I try out, I'll throw things together until it looks right, and it's an absolute disaster. And it happens, know. But it's not the end of the world.
Yes. So she is the face for Beauty Without Cruelty. And
the voice,
the voice, the being, the absolute amazing person. So they've had some amazing successes. Go on there, read about it, take the time to read. There's so many projects that you still need volunteers for and people to participate in. And, you know, you can never show up too little. You can only show up more and get involved. And then, you know, she's also willing to work with Namibia, not just South Africa. So you Namibians, which I'm one, is ask questions to get the same results that she's having here in South Africa. Okay, it's across the border. It's not easy to travel, but we do want to come out that way. I actually want to bring you out that way. So if there's anybody that can help get us, more so her, you want to speak to the
Minister of Tourism,
and the
State Vet.
Yes. So this is how you help her to keep the circus out of your country, and also how you help your wildlife and your domestic animals and your people.
Yes. And don't forget, a lot of the things that are on the Humane Guide are available in Namibia. They should be.
Yeah.
Because we have a number of local stores that are there that are intercontinental.
Yeah, it's bound to be. I mean, if it's not there, you can always import it. So
yeah, online shopping. I mean, so many people do online shopping.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, they live in Cape Town and they're doing online shopping from a company that's based in Cape Town. So yes, it is, you know.
Yeah. So it's been amazing. Thank you so much for letting me into your home again. And we're so sorry that we were late, but we really couldn't, for some reason. I'm not going to use Google Hangout again because it's not working. But thank you so much.
No, thank you. Yes. Thank you for asking me.
And for those who want to follow Toni and subscribe to Beauty Without Cruelty and also to the Humane Guide, 120 products, you only really need 5. So but there's 120.
Yes, but don't forget there's male and female. And there's household cleaning, and there's sunscreens.
Okay, so you need 120 products.
So
120 products, I think.
So there's 120 brands in them, and within those brands there are 1,000 or so products that you can choose from that have proven that they have not animal tested. Our criteria is, to our knowledge, the most rigorous on the planet. And we do not charge one single penny to company or consumer ever for this. But if you can see a way clear to popping a couple of pennies into Beauty Without Cruelty, it would be very nice.
Yeah. And get the swag. You've got swag. She's got caps and shirts and even maybe a banner. You could.
Actually, what we do is we have a really nice key ring that's got a QR code on it that you can scan and get the most up-to-date Humane Guide all the time.
Yeah.
So if you donate, take out a subscription of 100 Rand for the year, which gets you one of our magazines, which is at the printers as I sit here. You will also then get a keyring. So you're getting more back than.
Yeah. So when I grow up, I want to be like Toni Brockhoven. Teach your child to be compassionate, kind.
Yes.
And also your husband, your wife, and also your peers and everybody. Spread the message, okay? Just be your loving self, your kind self, your full self, and your absolute most peaceful self.
Yeah, it's simple. Choose compassion.
Yes, compassion. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.